We learned that Obamacare lost, that Democrats have lost any chance at retaking the House, that Republicans will clean up in the midterms. Or maybe we learned something else. Maybe we learned just how fraudulent the entire conservative uprising of the Obama years has been since the very beginning.
Folks, I got very good news tonight. No more commercials.
Last night, Republican David Jolly won a congressional special election in Florida, defeating Democrat Alex Sink and ushering in predictions of doom for the Democratic Party this November. But if you want to know the meaning behind Jolly's victory, the answer is hiding in plain sight in Florida's 13th district. It's Medicare.
To pay for Obamacare, Washington is forcing seniors to endure deep cuts to Medicare Advantage. Sadly, Alex Sink supports these cuts, sticking with Nancy Pelosi, who wants to keep Obamacare intact, which cuts Medicare by $716 billion.
That ad was paid for by the Chamber of Commerce, the very same Chamber of Commerce who last year launched an initiative to reform our entitlements.
We need to fix these programs because if we don't, they will consume every dollar the government collects.
But that chamber ad attacking Alex Sink was not special to Florida's 13th. In fact, ads like that have been central to the conservative message in the Obama era. Because the only thing Republicans love more than attacking quote-unquote entitlement spending is attacking Democrats for cutting Medicare, one of the largest drivers of the long-term deficit. Since the Tea Party perfected this strategy, conservative big money donors have run ads attacking Democrats and the president for cutting Medicare.
Does it make you mad Tammy Baldwin voted to cut $716 billion from Medicare?
BERA supports Pelosi's plan to slash over $700 billion from Medicare.
Cuts Medicare by $716 billion.
$500 billion in Medicare cuts.
$500 billion in cuts to Medicare.
Cuts $500 billion from Medicare.
Cut Medicare by $500 billion.
It's not just outside groups. It's Paul Ryan, whose 2012 budget cut projected government spending by almost $6 trillion over the next decade. While on the Republican presidential ticket, Ryan attacked Democrats again and again for, quote, cutting Medicare.
When I think about Medicare, it's not just a program. It's not just a bunch of numbers. It's what my mom relies on. The president raised $716 billion from the Medicare program to pay for the Obamacare program.
And the reason Republicans are disingenuously attacking Democrats for cutting billions in government spending while railing against government spending is because the difference between the two parties is not about small and big government. It's about who benefits from government. In defending Medicare spending, Republicans are just looking out for their base, the older, whiter demographic who tend to come out to vote in non-presidential elections. The people who do not want to give up their Medicare, thank you very much. So if the GOP wants to shrink government while preserving entitlements for its base, they have to look at programs that aren't associated with that base. Like voting to slash food stamps by $40 billion over 10 years, embracing the sequester, which cut money from government housing programs. Now, they're even railing against the free school lunch program. Because Republicans need to squeeze those programs so their base has as much money as it needs.
Joining me now, Anna Greenberg, Senior Vice President of Greenberg Quinlan Rosner Research, Democratic Polling Forum and Campaign Strategy Firm. Okay, we have some new NBC Wall Street Journal polling out today. And lots of parsing on issues, favorability, Tea Party, is the president popular? Here, to me, this was the single most result, and I think it bears on Florida 13 and on every race. Yeah. Is the United States in a recession right now? 57% of people say yes. Now think about this for a second. The National Bureau of Economic Research, which does the Business Cycle Dating Committee, says the recession ended in June of 2009. We are over 3.5 years out, and the majority of people are saying, I am not feeling like the recession's over.
That's what I hear in every focus group I do all over the country, whether it's Arizona or Texas or, Wisconsin. And the issue is that coming out of this recession, if we are indeed out of the recession, people see certain macro indicators suggesting that things are getting better. The unemployment rate's going down, GDP is up, But day to day, they don't feel better, and for a number of reasons. One, the cost of living still continues to go up, and the price for like daily expenses like groceries, for example, has gone up considerably since the beginning of the financial collapse. People who have lost their jobs and now have new jobs, those jobs tend to pay less. There are people who have maybe the same amount of money, but they're working 2 jobs, which means they have to figure out how to pay for childcare or other kinds of expenses that come, transportation, for example. And so people come out of the recession seeing that, the media talks about the economy getting better, and they see people at the top actually doing very well, but they feel terrible, and they feel like it's the new normal, like it's not going to actually get better. It's a kind of a malaise.
And that feeling of new normal, that feeling that things are broken, that kind of declinist vision, I think has been both in some ways cynically kind of aided by Republican intransigence at the national level, but they've also benefited off it, right? You say everything's bad and the president's screwing around with Obamacare is basically the message.
Well, they can say that we spent all this money, whether it's TARP, which was obviously Bush, stimulus, cash for clunkers, Obamacare, and things haven't gotten better. And so you can say not only did we have an economic collapse, but government spent a lot of taxpayers' dollars and it didn't get any better.
What's striking to me is that there doesn't seem to be a connect between voters of punishing the Congress for something as discreet and simple as, say, extending unemployment insurance. So you've got these voters who are economically anxious. They're showing up at your focus groups and in polls saying, yeah, my life isn't materially better. And then you look out the policy landscape and you have Republicans filibustering an extension of unemployment insurance for people who are like them. And there is no political connect. There's no price to be paid for that politically.
Well, I think the problem is the level of cynicism and isolation from Washington is so high that if you look at the brand of both the parties, they're so low. If you look at the generic congressional vote in national polls, the interesting dynamic is that the undecided vote is going up. Usually the undecided goes down as you get closer to Election Day. The number of people who identify as independents has gone up, and it's a deep alienation from both parties, and there's a lot of noise. And when you spend $1 gazillion in these races, it's a lot of noise, and people think they're all terrible, and they tune it out. And so you have approval ratings for Congress at an all-time low. The brand of both the parties, though, arguably, the Republican brand is way, way worse than the Democratic brand. The Democratic brand's still not great. And so people just tune it out and think it's all noise and they're all bad and, no one cares about us.
And we can analyze to death. I mean, in some ways, I think everyone has been a little hoodwinked by a kind of conservative con, which is that everything's about Obamacare. You can talk about Obamacare, you can look at the polling on Obamacare, messaging on Obamacare. At the end of the day, people are asking themselves, is my life materially better? Do I feel hopeful about my future? And in the long period of economic ruin and destruction caused by the Wall Street crash, the answer very often for a lot of people has been no, and it continues to be no to this day. And that, to me, is the chief driver of our politics. Anna Greenberg from Greenberg Quinlan Rosner Research. Thank you.
Thank you.